Now, we'll probably get to some of your other stuff later, but the reason that I asked you on in the first place was to talk about some of your work talking about NHS privatisation. Now,
Right. Okay.
I have had, I don't know how many conversations with people talking about the NHS being privatized. And it's one of the things I talk about in my book, Brexit, the Establishment Civil War, as something to watch out for post-Brexit. And yet every time I bring this topic up, I get two reactions, right? I get either, oh, the NHS is totally not being privatized. That's not happening. You're just talking rubbish. Or it's someone being terrified that it is already privatized and essentially gone. Like, where, in your mind at least, is the reality here?
I would say the reality is it is a major threat. It is happening. It's not, obviously, I would say, yeah, the idea that it's gone it is rescuable, but definitely the trends of the last 10 years are speeding up, and the situation is dire. A lot of people say we've moved from a system that wasn't a national system to a system that effectively is a franchise. And it's almost like the NHS logo is there to make us think the NHS exists in its old format, but it doesn't. I think the sense in 2013, the Conservative government carried out the most drastic reorganisation of the NHS since it started in 1948. And a lot of people say there's been a campaign that's called the NHS Reinstatement Bill, the idea that a bill will go to Parliament to basically reset the clock back to 1948 to 2013, because the 2013 reorganisation opened it up to a lot more competition. One thing that does get forgotten is in the legislation, the responsibility of the Secretary of State for Health to oversee the NHS and oversee it in a way to make sure it did flourish and exist. That was quietly taken out of his remit, which a lot of people said, well, that is just amazing that happened. So yes, I would say increasingly privatization is happening. I've got plenty of examples I can talk about as we go, but to answer your question, yes, it's still there, but it is in a lot of danger.
So what were some of the changes that happened with this reinstatement bill in 2013? And like what original sort of founding principles did it take away?
The reinstatement bill is the attempt to reverse the 2013 Health and Social Care Act.
Sorry,
So the
my
reinstatement bill.
the
Sorry, don't
reorganization
worry.
bill.
Yeah. So the 2013 reorganisation, it introduced the CCGs, the clinical commissioning groups, which at a local level actually commission care. The providers of the care are the NHS Trust and NHS Foundation Trust, but increasingly also the private sector, the likes of Virgin and Care UK and Spire and Nuffield, BMI. Also, something that does quite often get overlooked is the role of the GP. So originally GP surgeries just got their money from the government and they were part of the core NHS. They're all now on private contracts with NHS England. So although people see a CCG as an aggregation of all the GPs in a particular city or geographical area, they're not effectively, they sit as a sort of a separate silo. So increasingly, I mean, there was a lot of publicity a week or so ago that Centene, a US company, has bought up 49 GP practices in London and surrounding area, because basically, I say it's a private contract. It's not guaranteed that your GP is part of the NHS. Basically, any organisation can bid for a contract, and that's increasingly what's happening. So also, I mentioned Care UK. They have a lot of units within NHS hospitals, and also they own some GP surgeries. And the main reason that increasingly private operation is happening within NHS hospitals is simply capacity. It's an amazing fact, which I was amazed when I first saw it, and I thought, is that really true? And asked somebody, where did they find it? The NHS was founded in 1948 at a time when we had 50 million people in the country. We've now got, well, we'll find out soon because the census is due. We've got approximately 70 million people in the country. So we've got a 40% increase in population. We've actually got less hospital beds now than we had 70 years ago. And most of that decrease has happened since the days of Margaret Thatcher. I don't want to bamboozle you with facts, but I did write this one down because it's quite surprising. In 1987, Britain had 299,000 hospital beds. The last time a sort of a general across the board national count was done a couple of years ago, it was down to 141,000. So in just over 30 years, the amount of hospital beds, public NHS hospital beds, has halved. So that's why there is increasing need. Well, the government argues there's an increasing need for private sector involvement in the NHS to pick up, because they argue that the waiting lists are going up. So the way to deal with this is to outsource to private organisations that can do the work. Whereas people who are arguing, so the NHS reinstatement campaign is basically stop the privatisation. You don't need a private sector in the NHS. Basically, all you're doing is you're diverting money ultimately to shareholders of these private organisations. You need a fully funded national service. You actually just need to, the simplest way to do it is just to increase the capacity of the NHS, just basically have more hospitals and more beds.
Thanks so much for listening. If you enjoyed the show, please subscribe, follow me on Twitter, or sign up to our mailing list. Thanks a lot to our sponsor, ExpressVPN, the #1 most trusted VPN. Get lightning fast connectivity with servers in 160 locations across 94 countries. Keep your browsing privacy safe with ExpressVPN and get a 35% discount on 12 months of ExpressVPN when you follow the link in the description below. Don't forget my book is now out and available to order on Amazon and on bookshop.org. That's Brexit, the Establishment Civil War. And most importantly, thanks for listening. We'll see you next time.